Well, hello. If we haven't met, I'm Tony Johnson of All Things Tony J, and it's my hope and my desire to encourage you to take those micro adventures close to home. You see, I'm not going to Nepal, and you're probably not either. I'm not climbing Mount Everest, and my guess is you're not either. And so it's my hope and desire that you'll get out and take some type of micro adventure, maybe one of a personal nature like the one I just completed. If you found your way to episode 6, then you know I've been training for a 48-hour endurance race, and it is complete. It is in the books. In fact, I ran at Merrill's mile, and that's what I'm going to tell you about today. In fact, without any further ado, let me tell you what you're going to get on today's episode. You're going to get the race results of last weekend's 48-hour race, along with a quick recap, and then I'm going to give you my top 3 race fails. And by the way, hey, don't forget, subscribe. Hit those buttons, just hit them all. The like button, write a comment, but most certainly hit that, yeah, you know what to hit. Hit that, yeah, hit all the buttons. Well, without any further ado, let's go downstairs and hear about the 48-hour race and see the question you've all been wanting to know. Did I run 100 miles? Let's go. Hey, glad you made the transition with me. I want to give you just a bare bones, detailed account of what took place at Merrill's Mile without giving you a bunch of the stuff that goes with it. So here's a quick recap. And by the way, I've made myself some notes because I can't remember everything. So not trying to trick you, I'm going to be looking down a little bit today. So number 1, it was held at Camp Merrill in Dahlonega, Georgia. Now Camp Merrill is a Ranger Army camp where they train Rangers, and throughout the night and throughout the day you could hear gunfire going off, which is kind of a unique experience for an ultra race. And so I arrived in Dahlonega and at Camp Merrill in plenty of time, or so I thought. Who would have guessed I would have got it wrong? I hardly ever get things like that wrong because I'm big on logistics. But once I got there and set up my canopy, my tent, my table, I'll be honest, I was worn out. And then I realized I had 15 minutes to spare before it was time to start the race. And so my race strategy, once I towed the line, I decided to go with run a mile, walk 5 minutes. Run a mile, walk 5 minutes. Now the cool thing at Merrill's Mile, which is an excellent ultra race, is that you can see the entire course. It's just a big circle, a big oblong circle. So you can see everybody at every time except during the night. And so I went with that idea of 5-minute walks to each and every mile. And I did that as long as I could. And then I went down to a walk run. And then I went down to whatever my body would give me. And then eventually you have to get down to just a walk. And that's kind of how it went throughout the night. I would have to say that probably for me between 2 and 4 in the morning is the toughest time. And at Camp Merrill, it's near a bog, and so you hear all these bullfrogs, and sometimes you'll be walking by yourself for a long time, and one of these bullfrogs will make a noise, and it will send you through the roof. I hated the bullfrogs. Now, a lot of people want to know, do you sleep during a race like this? Well, some do, some don't. I didn't. But it wasn't due to lack of effort. I would try to lay down and just couldn't sleep. So if I can't sleep, I might as well get up and keep going. And so one of the things that people want to know about is, what do you eat? What do you eat during a race? Well, let me say this. Merrill's Mile has to be the best aid station for food of any ultra that I've ever run. Hey, those of you that worked that race, kudos to you. You all are awesome. Food was available throughout the day, throughout the night, Gatorade, you name it, they had it, even down to bacon, pancakes, and eggs for breakfast. It was awesome. Now, this race is known as a timed race. That means once you start, technically you have finished, and you run in a circle for as long as you can. You just try to see how far you can go. And so that's what I did. And so what were my race results? Well, let me just say this. I finished like I normally do, about mid-pack, and I finished 14th out of 20. In my age group, male and females, I finished 5 out of 11. In my age group, males, I finished second. Second. But now here's the question everybody wants to know. Tony, did you get 100 miles? Well, yes! I got 100 miles. Are you kidding me? After all this build up and all these episodes, I wasn't leaving without 100 miles. In fact, I went over 100 miles. Now, how long does that take somebody? Well, it took me 34 hours, 11 minutes, and 13 seconds. Very few rest breaks. You're just going nonstop without sleep for 34 hours. So I want to tell you, as a middle of pack guy, and as someone that runs at 220 pounds, if I can do it, you can do it too. Now, I wouldn't just get up off the couch and go out and try it, but with some training, you never know what's possible when you decide to take on a micro adventure like an endurance race. And so now I want to kind of make a segue. It took a lot of training for many, many weeks in order to do what I did. But then I want to show you some of my training, and then I want to ease on into the race itself so you kind of get a flavor of what it's like to run a 48-hour race. And then one thing that a lot of people want to know is, what would you have done differently? And so, a lot. And so I'm just going to give you my 3 top race fails. Don't do these. Watch this before you go and do it. And so without any further ado, let's go take a quick look at my training. Let's go to Camp Merrill in Dahlonega, Georgia, where they train the Rangers. Let's look at this course that I'm talking about, and then I'll meet you again with my 3 race fails. Let's go. Well, how'd you like that? What a great day and a half of racing. As it ends up, I didn't stay the entire 48 hours. My feet, as you could tell, they were messed up. And so I decided that I'd go see my granddaughter. And I want to say a big thanks to my wife and my youngest daughter, Caitlin, who came up and brought me food. And then the next day, my other daughter with those two as well, Holly allowed me to stay at her house with Sam, her husband, and it was just a wonderful experience, and I couldn't have done it without them. And so I just want to say thank you to them. So what were my three biggest race fails, the things that I wish I had done differently? Number one, I didn't have enough rest between the time I set up my camp, which meant a canopy, tarps, laying out all my food, all my drinks, setting up my tent. And by the time I had all that done by myself and the distance I had to go, which sounds, kind of funny that you would talk about distance from the car to your tent when you're going to run 100 miles, but you only have so many miles left in you in a particular day. So next time, I will probably take some crew, some people that are there just for the race that can help out in whatever way that I might need to complete whatever it is I'm going to be doing. Secondly, I really messed up by not carrying a sleeping pad or a blanket. You see, at night, it wasn't that I didn't want to sleep. I did. I wanted to take a few cat naps, maybe 15 minutes at a time. But when I crawled into my tent, I realized, well, what I should have already known was the ground is really hard. But I thought because of the level of fatigue that I would just fall asleep. But not only did I not fall asleep, I was cold. And then all I had in there was a tarp. And let me tell you, I tried to cover up in a tarp. That was goofy. I probably shouldn't even share that, but a tarp is cold. So then I got out of my tent, I tried to go to my car, to no avail, decided I would just go back out and keep running. So if I were going to do it again, I would bring a sleeping pad of some kind and a blanket. My third, and maybe the biggest, was that because of my timing, I didn't have an opportunity to get ice. And so from morning on the first day till evening, I didn't have any ice. I was drinking all my Cokes hot, all my water hot. Yeah, the aid station did have some, but it would have been nice to come back, pop that cooler open, hit that nice ice cold Coca-Cola, but instead it was to no avail. And so I want to thank my family for my wife and my daughters bringing me some ice. That turned out to be number one. Now, I want to give you a bonus. This is a bonus of my race fail. At night, there are no lights. It gets really dark. I have a headlamp. I climb into my tent because I want to get on some dry clothes. And so when I go to put my shorts on, something went wrong. My running shorts, something went wrong. I went out and I ran for several more hours, and I kept noticing my pockets kept coming out, like I was running around like a bunny. And I thought, that's crazy. And I kept pushing them back in. It's late at night. It's 2, 3 in the morning. And I'm thinking, well, what's going on? And then eventually I realized I have put my shorts on when I was in my tent, my running shorts on, inside out. So I've been running for hours like a bunny rabbit with the tail being my tag hanging on that. Very embarrassing. I'm sure nobody saw it. But that's something that I would not do again. Have a little more light in my camp so I didn't look like a goob. And so I want to say thank you for being a part of all of this. This is, I might do one more episode. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't taken a good micro adventure, I want to encourage you to do that. Take some of the family nature, take some of a personal nature. You may not want to start out with a 48-hour race, but you can do it, because if I can do it, you can too. And that's what I'm hoping to motivate and inspire you to do. Start out small, then work up big, because you can do it. You are capable. Once again, I'm not going to Nepal and I'm not going to Mount Everest, and you're probably not either, but you can go out and do some fun things with your family, something that stretches you a little bit. And so next time, if I do another episode, I'll give you kind of a big overall what happened in a more detailed way. It may not be for everybody, and I'll try to make it short for that reason. But until we meet again, get out there, take those micro adventures, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit those notifications. Leave a comment. If you have any question about this race, I'll be glad to answer them. And so until next time, I'm Tony Johnson of All Things Tony J. Yeah!